Good evening. It's bourbonblog.com and quickly becoming a favorite of mine. I tried these recently and I was like, we got to get these great folks on. It's Chris Tetterton, Vice President of Marketing and co-owner of RD1, joining us live from Lexington. How's it going, Chris?
How you guys doing?
Hey, man, good to see you. You have so many interesting, unique finishes. You have a wonderful bourbon. And they're going into more and more states right now, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. We've had a lot of fun. We kind of started the history of RD1. Kind of started with William Tarr as a limited release, and this year we've kind of launched our core four, as we call it, just our new lineup under the RD1 name. And we started in just Kentucky, and now we're branching out to the rest of the country, trying to bring a little bit of that Kentucky flavor out to everyone.
You're going to find these more and more places soon. And when we talk about finishes, some of my favorite finishes over the years, some of those distilleries, the last 5 or 10 years that have gotten into finishes, that have done it so well. There's some that have been released that I've liked. There's some that I think are amazing. But just right out of the gate, your all's finishes are not only just really spot on, but they're not limited time offerings too. We're going to go right. They're part of your core.
Yeah, absolutely. The bourbon industry is kind of unique, right? It's so much mixed with this tradition of what was and how to make a classic bourbon, but everyone's looking for what's the hot new thing. And, I think finishing and I think blending here is going to be another big thing. Bardstown's doing some amazing stuff, obviously, with blending. But yeah, finishing and blending is a way to kind of retain that traditional piece, but also give people something unique and something new and something different, and a new tasting experience overall. But yeah, the finishes that we have right now are not limited release. There are forever products. So we're really excited about them.
I love that. And we're going to go through all of them, including the French oak, the maple, and the oak and maple barrels, and also the Amburana, the Brazilian Amburana, here in a moment. But we're going to start with your bourbon. Your Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and this is that right at 98 proof here? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, 98 proof.
Yeah.
Minimum 4 years. So we've got some 4, a little 5, maybe even a little older, but everything we're doing right now is minimum of 4 years. But yeah, 98 proof. We wanted to keep that proof high enough to where you're getting that flavor, but not overpower a lot of newer bourbon drinkers who maybe not like they don't like the 120 proof or something a little crazy. Right. We can save that for something special, but we wanted to keep that flavor, and by keeping that proof up, we felt like we did that.
You've done it so well, and this is, like I was telling you earlier before the interview, this is a very solid bourbon, but I'm getting notes on this that it's distinct. I mean, it's not just any, there's so many good 4-year-old Kentucky bourbons that we're all going to always enjoy, but this has some real spice to it. This has some great depth. Tell us about where it came from too, and the story of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was made by 8th generation master distiller Jacob Call.
Yes.
For those who may not know Jacob, he's kind of a little bit of a living legend in the industry. He started or came out of Green River out in Owensboro. When Bardstown was bought, the company that bought Bardstown quickly bought up Green River Distillery as well. So Jacob has left, and we decided we loved what he was doing with us and our partnership, that we kind of went in and started doing a joint distillery together that should be finished in the next week or two, and barrels rolling off the line, and that's in Beaver Dam, Kentucky. So a little bit out there west. You kind of have to want to go there if you're going to go there. But all our mass production, all our big bottle production will be out of Beaver Dam. And we're excited to have Jacob continue doing what he's been doing for us and kind of making exactly what we're wanting and working with him together.
Jacob is very talented. He has so much history from his family. He has so much experience. And again, Beaver Dam is where this distillery that you're partnering with him on. This may be one of the more Western distilleries in the world of Kentucky bourbon. Is that true? I don't know Does anything go Western? I'm looking on the map here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if any. I don't think any major one
Goes too far west.
Yeah, it's pretty far out there.
Yeah, no, beaver dams are great. How did you pick Beaver Dam? I've been there a number of times growing up.
Yeah, I think Jacob kind of led the charge on that in the team that's kind of running the operations there, just trying to find, the specific pieces. We want to find the right piece of land where we can help support a local small community, where we can offer those jobs, which is obviously a great thing, bringing that to a community. But finding the right piece of land that we can grow into, and Beaver Dam just kind of became really easy. It was close to where Jacob lives and stuff like that. So it's we want him to be as on site as possible, obviously, and I know he does as well. So it just kind of became an easy fit and fell into our lap. And again, it should be done in the next couple of weeks.
Amazing. And again, this bourbon that we're starting off with is the small batch RD1 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. If you've tried it or any of these, tell us down below. This is at 98 proof. I'm getting some just beautiful kind of really nice toasted notes. It has a nice honeyed sort of creamy note almost. I mean, there's just a nice touch of elegance. There's creamy, there's cinnamon. Yeah. There's even a nice kind of citrus / floral in a beautiful way.
Yeah, we're really excited about this. We've entered all of them into a lot of different competitions, just partly because we want to know, what do experts think, right? What do the people that are master tasters, what do they actually think of this? And we've loved the response. We've won multiple double platinums, double golds, platinum medals like crazy. And this one's done really, really well. We thought with all our finishes that the flavor experience goes in so many different directions, depending on which finish you have, that we were kind of nervous, is this one going to be left behind? But it's won some major awards that we're really excited about, and it's really good.
Yeah, it really is. This one definitely will not be left behind. I really love this. Again, this is the small batch bourbon, and I see actually a tree on the top of there. Does that stand for anything? You just
so it was originally the we kind of have the history of RD1. RD1 stands for Registered Distillery Number 1. We're paying homage and kind of showing the history of Lexington's bourbon kind of upbringing. So back after the Civil War, Kentucky was essentially broken up into different districts. Lexington was one district, and the government wanted all the distilleries to start paying some taxes, and registering the distillery was the best way. So William Tarr, who again was our first lineup in that limited release, he helped found the first federally registered distillery in Lexington, called the Ashland Distillery, and later called the William Tarr Distillery, that eventually burnt down. But for Ashland, it had this beautiful ash tree, and we kind of started with that, but it morphed into more of an oak tree. So it just kind of became a symbol of, all of our finishes are wood finishes. There's no artificial flavoring or anything. So we wanted to kind of ground ourselves into that wood grain and how much the wood actually impacts bourbon in itself.
The wood impacts it a lot. A beautifully designed bottle, I should say, also, as I hold up the next one, which is the bourbon finished in French oak. These are some great looking bottles that you've had custom made. Not every distillery does that right out of the gate. It has custom bottles too. That's pretty impressive. Yeah,
we felt like we were putting so much effort into what we were putting into the bottle and how we were finishing these bottles that we felt like it wouldn't be right to put it into any old bottle. So we started out pretty early on, designing a bottle that was originally based off one of the original bottles from that William Tarr distillery, with that high shoulders, the kind of old school bottle. It's got a great feel in your hand. But we wanted something really unique that stood out on the shelves, that kind of showed our commitment to what we're putting into the bottle.
Yes. And this one, again, this one's the next one. We're going up on proof just a touch. This is 101 proof. This is finished with French oak. What's the process like finishing with French oak? What are you? How do you make this happen?
Yeah, we're taking French oak staves, virgin French oak staves, and putting them into the barrel, and kind of letting that age even further while it's still in the barrel. We've played around. A lot of what we're doing is trial and error. So, we're doing all of our finishes. And with that just comes a lot of, let's try it for 2 months. Let's try it for 4 months. Let's try it for 9 months. What happens if we try it for 2 years? What happens? So where's that sweet spot? So for French oak, we found kind of the sweet spots around 9 months, and it just gets really, really good.
The French oak, it's such a rich, elegant note. It's coming all the way through. And again, it's the French oak. We've tried it. Many of the people watching probably have tried it on some bourbons, maybe some ryes the last 5-10 years. I think some are better than others. Some are more overpowering than others.
Sure.
All of these are just spot on. They're well balanced. They are the right proof. I think that having a little higher proof, giving it a little, not too warm, but just a little bit of heat behind this French oak, especially on the finish, makes this so crisp and just robust.
Yeah, there's, French oak adds a little bit of spice, a little bit of that baking spice, but a lot of just what I feel is like dark chocolate and dessert cream. Like there's an elegance to it, right? And maybe it's a little bit of the mentality of, French oak, but there's an elegance to it that is just really, really good. And, we sat in a room and tried this at, all the different proof levels, going in by increments of 1. Sometimes increments of a half a point,
right,
to really find that sweet spot of what works best and what brings out all the best notes that we can possibly have.
And it's not a young bourbon, because there's some distilleries that'll do it. It is all the original that are done on these finishes.
Yeah, the bourbon that we use in every single line, every variation that we have, is all started with that blue label, this Kentucky straight bourbon. So it's this bourbon finished differently. So if you come to a tasting at our tasting room, or if you happen to have the opportunity to do a tasting on your own, the only difference you're tasting as you go through variation is just the wood finishing interaction with the barrel. The mash bill, the age, the barrels are all the exact same in all of them. So we really want to be able to showcase what can just finishing do, and it's been very unique, to say the least.
Both of us, I'm sure, are lucky to get to try a lot of great bourbons. I've been able to try a number over the years, and I get to try quite a few each week, each year. I really try to pace it. And don't get me wrong, over the years, coming from where we started 10, 15 years ago, because we started Bourbon Blog 17 years ago, a lot of the early craft ones were just okay, then they got better. Everything now is getting more solid. But as I said earlier, some things pass through my desk and I'm like, this is good. But these truly are. These really have stood apart from so many bourbons I've had because of the balance, the flavor. Everything is spot on here. So well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I think as bourbon has increased in popularity, especially in Kentucky, where it's bourbon and horse racing, and that's it. The consumer, everybody at home, is so well educated, and there's so much variety out there that you can't afford to put out something that's just kind of okay. People quickly go, that's just okay, and I'm going to find something much better because it's available. So, it's been great because the expectation is so high, not only from people at home drinking and trying something, but on ourselves. We kind of say we won't put anything out that isn't really, really good.
You want to put that expectation, or that expectations there. You want to make sure it is
absolutely
it's met.
If it's not good, we won't put it out because it's a waste of time. We have very high expectations of ourselves, and we expect the best. And when we go into awards, we expect to win really, really high awards and high honors from it because we put a lot of time into it. So.
And you're going to continue to, I have no doubt. Again, this first one, this second one, what are the prices on these retail price?
Sure. So for the one you're holding, the straight bourbon is $59.99.
Excellent.
That you can find in most retail stores. You can find it on our website and get it shipped to, I think it's about 41 different states.
I'm going to put that up there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to the bourbons, and if we're not readily available in your state on the shelves, then you can most likely get it shipped there. So that one's $59.99, and all three of the finishes are $69.
I think that's a very reasonable price. I mean, by the way, I think these are better than some that I've paid more for, by the way.
Sure.
So I think it's very reasonable, and it's something that all bourbon lovers that follow us on Bourbon Blog should check out when they're able to. Hopefully you can send to them. If not, find it when you get to one of those states. And you're going to be in more and more states. You just went into Wisconsin, Michigan, Missouri, Indiana. You're in Kentucky. You're going to be in a few other states coming up here.
Yeah, we're going into, so all of those, we're quickly going into Tennessee, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine. We're going to be heading down to Florida here very, very soon. Texas is coming on hopefully this year as well. We're looking at Colorado, Nevada, Louisiana. So just Kansas. I mean, we're going crazy right now. We went from one state to, half the country in 1 year is what it's looking like.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you. So, but yeah, going back to the pricing piece, a lot of people sometimes confuse price with quality.
Right.
Just because it's $100 or $200, it must mean it's really good. And sometimes that's the case. Sometimes, there's
not always true.
That's worth it, but sometimes it's not. So
sure.
What we wanted to do is obviously we want to be able to sustain our company and make sure that we can move on and are healthy financially. But we also want to put something out affordable that people can just pick up and try and enjoy. And, we kind of think bourbon is about bringing people together. And, if it's affordable and people can sit around a fire pit or around their couch with some friends and family and, enjoy a really cool experience, we want to be a part of that.
Indeed. And I went ahead and poured a little bit of this next one, which is the bourbon whiskey double finished in oak and maple barrels. Okay. So again, you're going to say, a lot of you watching, maple. There's been a lot of flavored maple stuff. Again, everything has their fans. These are real maple barrels. Tell us the story about the maple.
Sure. So we take French oak barrels that have had maple syrup in them, either the barrels have been steeped in them, or the maple syrup.
Do you all do that, or is that actually another for like a maple house that you got?
Yeah, another house. So we just grabbed the barrel. Okay. So essentially, we've got these barrels that have been soaked and steeped in maple syrup. They've essentially been, the maple syrup's been.
They were making maple syrups.
Yeah. Right. Those barrels and staves have been dried completely. And then we take those staves, we kind of block them up and we put them into our barrels as well. So now you're getting just this really rich history from the barrel of the maple and the French oak, just really soaking into that bourbon. And I think what you taste, when you taste this compared to some others, we've all had a bunch of different maple finished bourbon. It's not syrupy. It's not artificial. It's so real. It's real. It's clean, and it tastes like someone once said it's the best stack of pancakes you've ever had. So it's a hint of maple, and it kind of lasts a little bit, but it's all the great points of it that you'd want.
I typically wouldn't say like this is, when it comes to something maple finished, I've loved a lot of them that I've had before. Sure. They've done well, especially one-offs. There's been some one-offs that you can't find anymore that have done so well with it. This is so well balanced. The heat is just right. And that maple is just crisp. This is a very autumnal flavor we think about.
Yeah.
Maple, it already gives me this sense that, on a nice hot day in Kentucky, this feels like fall.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like Sunday brunch, right?
It is.
You can have it, Easter morning even.
Have you tried this with a little brunch? Have you done this with?
We have with some thick cut bacon and some eggs. It's good.
Wow.
But I think the way we went about this is how do we proof it and how do we finish it to a level of exactly what you would want. If someone said, I want a bourbon and I really want to taste the maple. And I hear people say, I get vanilla and caramel and maple, but I want to taste the maple. How do we create that? And through a lot of trial and error and through a lot of, different proofings, we kind of felt like we got the sweet spot of, okay, we've got this. It's bourbon with a hint of maple. It's not overpowering. It's not maple syrup that's poured down your throat with a little heat. It's bourbon with some maple notes. and that's where we wanted to be.
As I'm taking, and it's, you've done it so well. As I'm taking a breath, like I take a sip of this, right? I swallow it. I breathe in, keep my mouth closed.
Yeah.
As I breathe out through my nostrils, I'm still getting that. And that's what I would encourage you all to do as you're tasting finishes. Do that. The linger is there, but not in this way that it feels like it smacked you, but it's there in a very beautiful way.
Yeah. And if anyone's in Lexington, or if you're coming by Lexington, stop by our tasting room, because we do a smoked old fashioned with this bourbon, and we skip the simple syrup and we just add more bourbon. But what we smoke is we smoke parts of the wood barrel that were used in finishing this bourbon. So we actually take some of that wood, we smoke that wood, and then that's how we make the old fashioned.
You smoke the wood into the glass.
We smoke the wood into the glass. And the wood is from the finishing process of this barrel. So it's just unique. It's so good. A good old fashioned is kind of my weakness. I'm kind of picky on my old fashions, and this one's really, really good. So
I like it. I see you can on your website too. You can book a tasting.
Yep.
You can do a tasting there at the at your tasting room. Of course, you can book a tasting. You can come in. Can you just come in and have a cocktail too if you want?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a cocktail, have a group. You can host an event. I'm going to have to get there soon and try. Any other favorite cocktails that you guys do there? This one sounds like a favorite.
Yeah, we've just developed a line we have kind of a special signature cocktail for each variant to really play off the different notes that each bottle has.
Right.
But the smoked old fashioned is by far my favorite.
I love that. What do you do with the French oak?
Let's see, the French oak. Our head bartender just changed it around. She did.
All right, if you don't, I'm just going to come down and have one with you.
Yeah, that's the best way. And you know what? We're changing it up. You know, we like to play around. That's kind of part of our brand. Our company is we like to experiment with stuff. So the signature cocktail could be a Manhattan today, and in 3 weeks it could be something different.
Always changing it.
We're playing around with it.
We're going to finish off here with the Amburana, but I want to tell everybody one more time, again, go to RD1 Spirits. Tell us down below if you've tried it. Take a moment, like and share this video so that everybody knows about this new bourbon, which is coming to so many states very, very soon, if it's not already, and you can order it on RD1spirits.com. As I mentioned, and I don't say this often, I like a lot of things because a lot of things that are put into bottle are good. This goes so far beyond just like, hey, this is good. This is different. This is unique. It's balanced. Some people ask me, hey, what's your favorite bourbon? What's your favorite cocktail? I always say for me, it's two things. It's balance.
Sure.
It's flavors that are balanced. I want them balanced. I don't want to taste too much maple or too much, I want it to be the right balance. And every time I come back to it, I want to taste something new. Mm-hmm. And that's what have made some of my very favorites over the years. And I can see that in all of these.
Yeah.
Well, so well done.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We put a lot into it.
Absolutely. Amburana. For those that don't know what a Brazilian Amburana, well, Brazilian can mean a lot of different things. A Brazilian Amburana means something completely different. It is, what is Brazil? It's cachaça. They age cachaça, some rums. Yep. Tell us about how you decided on Brazilian Amburana.
Yeah, so we're kind of, again, I don't come from the bourbon or spirits industry, but kind of us investing in and then eventually running this company, we kind of came out with it of going, what can bourbon really do? What are the limits of bourbon? What can we push? Right. How can we make something exciting? And we wanted something in there that's a little wild. French oak is elegant, but there's some French oak out there. Maple is kind of always done, but we wanted to do it. How do we do it better? Amburana is super unique. There's a few other brands out there that have a limited release of it. We wanted to put it in our core, especially when we tasted it the first time. So we did a test of it, and within, I think it was 3 to 4 weeks of doing a finish with it, we tasted it, and I was like, that's the one. It's so different. It's so unique. It's so wild. It's so out there. I just feel like it pushes the limits of bourbon, and that's really what
Right.
we wanted to do. I mean, it's nothing like anything else. And what's kind of cool about Amburana, it's a Brazilian timber that's found all over South America. And
Sure.
we make sure that we have it where it's sustainably sourced. But when you taste other brands Amburana, I've never tasted one that's the same. You know, there's a couple other brands out there, and theirs all taste slightly different, and this one does as well. And it's notes from orange to coconut and pineapple to Christmas and pine. There's
It does
so many
have that
different
holiday-like note, doesn't it?
It really does.
Spice cake and ginger, and it's tropical. And I mean, you think about tropical as kind of more fruit, and then you think about spicy. It's tropical and spicy at the same time.
It's Christmas time in Brazil.
Oh, I love it. That's what we got to do. We got to take some of this down there and have some Christmas cocktails. 110 proof. This is your highest proof one. How'd you decide on 110 proof of this?
Yeah. So originally the thought was, well, what if we just put this as a single barrel, or what if we did this at barrel proof? But when we started testing the proofs, again, we went from barrel proof and went down by increments of one just to see where does it really, where does it hit? We found that at 110, one, it brings the spice and the heat down, which we wanted to do a little bit of that. But two, as we proofed it down, it opened up a little bit more of the pineapple and coconut, which we felt was really unique. And if you add another drop or two of water in there, it'll even get better. And that's something we wanted to do. We wanted to have it be a little different and have a completely unique tasting experience. And so far, from everything we've heard, this is quickly becoming a fan favorite, and it's actually my personal favorite too. So
I think it's just so out of the box for bourbon. Mm-hmm. It goes in so many ways. You think about cachaças that might be aged in this, or rums, and you think about those flavors. It doesn't exactly go towards rum or cachaça, but it goes in this tropical, bright, very bold, but not too bold of a place that if somebody put this in front of me, I might not say this is bourbon. This is something that I've never had before.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost takes on, if Scotch has a tasting range fairly far apart, you can get Isle Scotch, you can get, Space Scotch. You've got or Space Ice Scotch. You can get a pretty far range of flavors. Bourbon narrows it down a little bit just because of the, how you make it. This one kind of opens it up a little bit. And again, all that we've done is taken our classic straight Kentucky bourbon, and we've finished it with this Amburana wood. And now all of a sudden we get a completely different experience. This is the one where you got to get a bottle. And when you've got friends over, you say, try this, right? Like just taste this and tell me what you think. And then you see their experience or their face light up, because you're going to love it. Yeah.
They're going to love this. All of these so unique. I have no doubt that there are more experiments you're working on. Are you able to tell us about any of those, what might come?
So we've done some private selects, some private barrels, and different locations have gotten them, different major liquor chains and stores. And we kind of used that process to kind of test what we're doing.
Right.
So if you go out into the market, you might see different stores have some, and maybe one's finished in red oak. We did one in yellow birch. We did one in sassafras. And it was just a way for us to kind of test and see what people like. So we would give
some single barrels you did.
Yeah, in single barrels. So we would give these, these different retail outlets or different bars and restaurants options between, our straight bourbon or some of our finishes, and then some of these unique ones. And the unique ones kind of sold pretty well, just because, I haven't seen anyone else do a finish in red oak or yellow birch or sassafras. So
I haven't either. I know maybe a little bit about the yellow birch.
Yeah.
See how little I know. I'm like,
just making sure.
How was the yellow birch? How was that?
Both the yellow birch and the red oak were kind of in line with what we have with the French oak. It took a classic bourbon and just slightly altered the flavor profile a little bit. It kind of just took it in one direction or the other. The red oak really made it seem a little deeper and bolder and a little more mature. The yellow birch, kind of made it a little spicier and a little lighter. Now we felt like they weren't up to the standard of, some of our other stuff, but those are single barrels. So those are very unique and really fun. But we're playing around with different blends now. A few other finishes. We're looking at all kinds of finishes. If we blend different finishes, just what's really good, what gets us excited. And then we want to have, some of our consumers try it. And if they really like it, then we'll see if we can get it to market. But as we were talking offline, all of our finishes are 100%. So there's no
100% in the bottle.
Yeah, there's no mixing it back in. So when you taste the French oak, every barrel that went into that small batch is all finished in French oak. It's not mixed back with. It's
not mixed back in. There's some brands that do it, and maybe they do it because it's too bold, because they want those flavors. But I think that there may be fewer brands that actually do it 100% like you're doing, and I think that that's really to be commended, to taste that pure flavor, to know that 100% of that was in that Amburana, French stave, the maple. Really well done to you. Thank you. So, you're welcome. So interesting. And I should also say, Mark Stoops of UK American college football coach and also former player. He's part of your company too.
Yeah. So when the company was a startup, he and my family, we were kind of the initial seed investors, and we've got a couple other small investors, but we were the initial seed investors to really get it up and going. And he's always fun to have around. He's such a great guy, great personality, super smart. And again, we've kind of got this winning mentality, and he brings another level of that as well. But he's a big bourbon lover. He's a big Kentucky lover just in itself. He loves the state. So it's great having him around and partner with that, and working with him has been nothing but a joy.
That is wonderful. Well done to all of you, to the whole team there. What Jacob has done, what you're doing on your new distillery in Beaver Dam. Will that be something that can be toured at some point in the near future? Or?
Yeah, I think there's room for it to be extended and to have a visitor center made out. But around this time, maybe end of summer next year, we're actually moving our tasting room in Lexington about a mile down the road into a new location called Turner Commons. And we'll have a bigger distillery there as well than we have in our current tasting room, where we'll do probably a little bit more of our R&D. We'll do some limited releases out of that distillery. All our main production will be out in Beaver Dam, but we'll do kind of some unique barrels specifically out of that tasting room coming next year, which will be, it's just really exciting. There's an amphitheater and concert venues and Airbnbs and all kinds of cool stuff going out up there. So,
more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. So follow us on social media and get all the updates, right?
Yes. Go to their website and also visit them in Lexington at the tasting room for an experience. Book a tasting and go in and have one of these cocktails. I'm going to come see you in Lexington soon, Chris, and see what it's all about. Well done on all this. It's all so delicious. Thanks, everyone, for watching and for sharing this video. And Chris, thanks for joining us on bourbonblog.com.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.